So airline luggages do not want you to know about this luggage secret just because it's going to help you choose between choosing a hard shell carry-on luggage or a soft shell carry-on luggage. So if you're looking to decide between a hard shell luggage or a carry-on luggage, then this video is for you. I'm going to go over the pros and cons of each of them, and it's going to help you decide what luggage is best particularly for you, and also that secret that airline companies don't want you to know just because it's going to be swaying your decision in deciding between the two. So let's go ahead and get started. And also keep in mind, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do so. We're looking to hit 1,000 subscribers, and that would greatly help us out. So first off, let's talk about material and durability. So when it comes to a hard shell luggage, here, these are usually made of like polycarbonate or aluminum. And then as far as the soft shell luggages go, these are usually made of like nylon or polyester. In my opinion, I don't really care what it's made of. What we all know though is that this is technically a soft shell and this right here is technically a harder shell. Now with that being said though, soft shells do seem to be more protective on the contents of that are on the inside of your bag just due to the hard shell nature of it, whereas soft shells, they aren't as protective, I'd say, but it still protects the inside contents of your bag. But I'll be explaining later on in this video why it's probably not good for more fragile items. Now when it comes to weatherproofing, okay, I don't think either bag is completely weather resistant. Now with a hard shell like this, I've taken this out in the rain before. Obviously it's a bit more weatherproof, but usually like the zipper portions, this tends to get wet, and I don't think the actual contents of my bag get completely soaked, but sometimes like the ridges of my clothes may also be wet as well if this stays out in the rain for too long. Now when it comes to a soft shell luggage, this probably isn't going to be the best choice as far as like weatherproofing goes. Hopefully if you do decide to go with a soft shell luggage, you won't be caught and stuck with the rain. These do tend to get wet a lot easier than these hard shell carry-on luggages itself. Now with each type, one is more dirt resistant. So as you can see here, obviously if I got a colored one, you wouldn't be able to see the dirt as much. Now with this one here, because I have the colored one, you're going to be able to see the dirt a lot easier. Scratches are more prone to happening on a hard shell luggage, whereas soft shell luggages aren't necessarily going to get scratches. They may get a tear over time, but it's kind of hard just due to the material nature of it. This is technically easier to clean, okay? So with all these scratches, you can easily just scrub this out. When it comes to a luggage like this is going to be a bit more difficult to clean if there ends up being stains on this luggage. Now I know it's not the best example because this one here is a white hard shell, while this one here is a black soft shell. I mean, my recommendation would be to get a black colored version of either carry-on luggage just so that it helps make it more, you don't see the dirt or scratches as much. Now let's move on to the weight and capacity of each of the luggages. Now as far as the weight goes, hard shell luggages do tend to weigh a bit more as compared to their soft shell components. Now that isn't the case for every single carry-on luggages, it may vary differently, but do keep in mind that sometimes on flights, especially international flights that I've been on, for example, in those Asia domestic flights, the carry-on luggage amount may be around like 7 kilos, which equates to about 14 pounds, which is what they allow you when it comes to carrying on your carry-on luggage. So again, keeping that in mind, some hard shell luggages tend to be more on the heavier side, whereas soft shell luggages tend to be on the lighter side, and that's going to matter when those flights that actually do care how much your carry-on weighs do end up weighing your bag. So now when it comes to packing either bag, okay, starting off with the hard shell luggage, this is basically like a 50-50 clam split is what they call it, alright? So you're packing one side of the bag here, and then you're packing one side of the bag here. Now that can technically mean like 2 extra ways to actually organize your belongings, where maybe you put certain clothes here, and then you put certain clothes here. Whereas with the soft shell luggage, tends to pack only one direction. You put all your clothes here, okay? So there's not a lot of organizational ways in which if you need something that's all the way at the bottom, you need to take everything out and then grab it. So again, a 50-50 split as far as packing goes. That's how it tends to work with hard shell luggages. Whereas with soft shell luggages, I do feel like packing is more forgiving just because you can compress your clothes all in one area. And with that being said, you might be able to pack more things in a soft shell luggage, depending on the type of luggage that you get. But again, it's a one direction packing in which if you need to grab something from the bottom, everything's got to kind of come out. Whereas with this one here, you've got 2 different ways. Usually you can reach things that are at the bottom while still keeping your clothes that are on top intact. Now moving on to the features and functionality of these luggages, okay? Soft shell luggages tend to have more pockets on the outside as demonstrated on this Swiss gear softshell luggages. This is just a common feature when it comes to softshell luggages. So if you're one to have a lot of pockets on the outside of your luggage for easy access, this is a great feature that tends to happen with softshell luggages. When it comes to actually using these luggages in hotels, okay, one thing I want you to imagine is that luggage racks are a common place to put your luggage on. Hardshell luggages don't kind of fit securely on those luggage racks, okay? So if you could imagine that this table was a bit more narrow, usually the hardshell luggage would have to fit firmly across like that, and it's kind of awkward in my opinion when you're actually placing a hardshell luggage on a luggage rack. Now again, imagine that only half this table is a luggage rack. If this piece of luggage is on your luggage rack, again, it feels awkward, it feels clunky. Another thing you can do though is that you can set your luggage rack, like your luggage against the wall like that, so that it's pressed up against the wall. But again, for the clothes that are on the top portion here, it's gonna be awkward in a sense that you're gonna need to kind of make sure that it doesn't fall out, right? So I'd say, as far as the functionality of putting a hardshell luggage on a luggage rack, it's definitely not the best, okay? Now, in contrary to that though, I would say that Softshells make complete sense when it comes to placing these on luggage racks, okay? So if you could imagine this bottom portion, half of the table is a luggage rack. You set your shelf like that. The actual flap itself is against the wall. This makes a lot more sense to actually put on a luggage rack so that it's not awkwardly hanging off the luggage rack, okay? So I'd say Softshells, if luggage rack is a huge thing for you, they fit perfectly fine, and it just makes sense to actually put them on a luggage rack. Now, if you're not actually using the bag on a luggage rack, okay, let's pretend you and a group of friends are sharing a hotel room or sharing an Airbnb of some sort. If your luggages are on the floor, okay, hardshell carry-ons tend to take up more room on the floor, okay? Because you need both sides of the bag access, and they just take up more surface area. And again, you're not naturally going to put this up against the wall. Whereas softshell luggages, you have that same feature or functionality in which this technically does save room if you put this against the wall, and it also occupies less space. So that's happened with me before, where there's a lot of luggages in one room, there's not a lot of room on the floor. Hardshell luggages tend to take up more space, whereas softshell luggages don't tend to take up more space. As far as internal organization features go among both types of luggages, I've seen very simple internal organization pockets, like as seen in the Samsonite bag as shown earlier in the video. And then contrary to being as simple on the inside, you have hardshell luggages which have some pretty neat pocket organizations, like on this level 8 carry-on that you see right here. And again, there's not much difference as far as like the internal organization goes between a hardshell versus a soft shell. Here on the Swiss gear carry-on luggage, soft shell, you have a lot of neat internal organizational pockets as well. Now when it comes to laptop sleeve protection, okay, for those who are traveling with a laptop, I would recommend a hardshell luggage just because I feel more comfortable with it actually holding my laptop. So if you look at here on this level 8 carry-on luggage, with this laptop sleeve, this is where you put your laptop, and then once you close this down, you can kind of see like there's about 2 inches of space between the actual outside of the bag and the actual inside of the bag where your laptop actually resides. So with a laptop sleeve, I'd say I would personally prefer a hardshell luggage. Contrary to that, in this softshell luggage, as seen in this BagSmart bag here, this is where the laptop resides, okay? And if you zipper this down, there's really not a lot of space between the outside of the bag and where your laptop resides. In addition to being a soft shell, just a soft shell in nature isn't going to protect your device as easy, unless of course like maybe you stuff some clothes in here to kind of soften it up. But overall, again, I personally would prefer putting my laptop or device in a hard shell as compared to a soft shell. In relation to more protection for your contents inside, when you tend to stack hardshell luggages, okay, so if you can imagine stacking another hardshell luggage on here, again, the protection is there when it comes to a hardshell bag. Whereas if your bag is on the bottom of a group trip and they're stacking luggages on top of it, it's not going to feel as protected when it comes to the contents of the inside of your softshell luggage. So if you do decide to still go with the softshell luggage, just make sure that you don't have anything fragile that tends to be on the top of the bag. To kind of combat that, again with the softshell luggage, your more valuable things, which technically you shouldn't be putting valuables inside a carry-on just because it could be broken into and stolen from. But if you do have valuables that are breakable, you tend to want them in the actual center of the bag just so they're protected by your clothes from all directions. Now, as far as the wheeling system goes, okay, I've seen 360 spinner roller wheels on both bags, okay, hardshell and softshell carry-on bags. Two-wheeled rollers, I tend to see them more commonly when it comes to softshell bags. I don't know the reason why, but at least with the two-wheel rollers, I tend to see them more in softshell carry-on bags. Example being, like in this bag here, with two wheels, they tend to just stand up upright a lot easier, and then stop also abruptly if you need it to stop. Whereas the 360 rollers, they tend to keep spinning even if you let go. All right. So if you're on a hill, this is probably going to go down by itself. Whereas if you're on a slope, this is probably going to be able to stand up tall without rolling down. With both types of luggage, I've seen both being able to actually have expandable features. And usually the expandable features on both types of bag tend to add about like 2 more inches of space when it comes to those people who are overpacking. You know who you are. Now, when it comes to even soft shells, same thing. Adds about like 2 more inches of packing for those people who tend to overpack. So no differentials as far as that aspect goes. Now, no matter what type of bag you get, some common features to look out for are a carry-on that has TSA locks. Those are always neat. I personally prefer 360 roller bags. Okay. And then lastly, not that I overpack, but I tend to look for a carry-on that just in case I do overpack, I do like the expandable feature when it comes to finding a carry-on that has an expandable feature attached to it. And again, that expandable feature basically adds about like 2 more inches. Now, when it comes to which bag I personally prefer, I personally like hardshell carry-on luggages just because they're more protective, especially when it comes to weather. I personally think they look better. And when it comes to me, because I travel a lot with a laptop or a device, I like being able to put my laptop in a laptop sleeve that's actually protected, or which I feel is protected quite well. Now, contrary to that though, it seems that airlines actually might prefer soft shell luggages just because these are easier to pack in the overhead storage bins. It's going to be able to compress down if you push it down and kind of like force it into an overhead bin, which in airlines' eyes, it leads to less delays, it facilitates faster onboarding, and airlines just tend to like soft shell carry-on luggages better just because it fits in the overhead bins a lot easier. So that reasoning behind why airlines might not like hard shell luggages, it's just hypothesis, it's not actual fact, you won't find articles on it. But as far as which luggage is best for you, if you're one who tends to like outside pockets, if you're one that likes to organize a lot of things and likes to access all these pockets, I say a soft shell is pretty good for you. In addition to that, when it comes to, again, those luggage racks are a huge factor. Soft shell luggages make so much more sense when it comes to putting these bags on luggage racks. If you have a lot more content, a lot more fragile items, hard shells are a good way to go for you. If you like better style, I'd say hard shells are better as well. Hard shells just technically protect things a lot better when it comes to soft shells. If you don't have any valuables to protect, if you don't have any breakables, and you just want a nice decent bag that makes sense when it comes to packing, I'd say a soft shell is a better option as well. Really, when it comes to hard shells, they are heavier though. So again, keep in mind when it comes to going on those airlines where they might weigh your carry-on, hard shells technically are heavier. After making this video though, comparing all the aspects between what's better on a hard shell versus what's better on a soft shell, I'm surprised to say, like, I do think soft shells are better. I think they actually might be better. I mean, it's not often where you're in the rain with your carry-on. Usually you're in the rain by yourself and your carry-on is like already at the hotel or the place that you're staying at. How soft shells actually might serve a lot of aspects in which they are technically better when it comes to actually traveling. So take that with a grain of salt though. Do decide which luggage is best for you. Down below in the description, I'll be linking to some luggages which I personally prefer and have used before, both from the hard shell class and the soft shell class. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do subscribe to the channel so we can hit that 1,000 subscriber mark. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.